Well, we'll get started here. Let me pause my outcast there. Good to meet everybody. I'm Ted Blosser. I'm the CEO and co-founder of WorkRamp. And so great to host you all today. This is going to be a fun little session. It's going to be very low key. Hopefully, this is the most exciting part of your day. But we're going to cover some great stuff today. And we really appreciate you all joining. We're going to go through a little bit on the WorkRamp story today. And then we will go through a demo to share the latest and greatest with WorkRamp. That'll be about 20-minute demo. And we'll just close for a few minutes to see if anybody has any questions. But again, we probably won't take the full hour here. This will probably be about 35, 40 minutes or so. So it'll be jam-packed with a lot of great information for you all. We like to put these webinars on occasionally for people who haven't seen WorkRamp in a little while, or existing customers, or people who are just curious about what we're doing. This will give you a nice update on the latest. And so let me get kicked off with the WorkRamp story. I had to go dig into the archives a little bit to get this slide going too. And so, we started WorkRamp. I think it's always fun to share a little bit about the story. About 10 years ago, this was late 2015. I was a lot younger then. You can see that's like an iPhone, like 3 or 4? Maybe Jimmy can guess that one because he is right on it today. But this was me coding up the first version of WorkRamp. It was on Ruby on Rails. Basically I had my daughter here. She is now 11. And so this was early days. She was helping me code. And really back then, our theme and our vision of the company was consistent to what it is today. It's really about empowering people to reach their full potential through learning. And we really chipped away at this with the help of our customers, and getting amazing feedback over the years. And over the next decade, we basically built one of the best learning platforms on the market. We are now used by over 2.5 million learners. We are known for being very easy to use, very easy to implement. We've raised funding from some great backers like Salesforce Ventures. And then recently, if you didn't see the news, we were acquired by a larger learning company called Learning Pool, who's backed by Marlin Equity, one of the top private equity firms in the world. And we're really excited about this acquisition. They have more products. They have a huge global support model, and it's going to be able to give us a lot more resources to continue developing the WorkRamp platform for customers. Little background on WorkRamp. If I know we have some customers here, some people are looking at WorkRamp for the first time, people who have used WorkRamp in the past, but we work with some of the most innovative companies in the world. These are from your companies like Compass, if you've bought a home or sold a home through them, all the way to companies like Discord, if anyone uses Discord for their social channels, all the way to G2 Reviews, which we also use a lot ourselves, or Doc Martens. If you're a big Doc Martens fan, they're also a great customer here of WorkRamp. And so a lot of great customers who use WorkRamp, and they really say there's 2 reasons they choose WorkRamp. And let me walk through each of those. The first is we like to say we have a best-in-class solution really for 3 key reasons. The first is we really focus on the intelligence of our solution. And so when you see the demo that Kathleen is going to give today, we're going to talk a lot about our AI First features. And so intelligence is a big part of our roadmap. And in its current state, we spend about half of our time on AI First features. And you'll see a lot of that come out when we show you the product. The second is we're highly integrated. We want to make sure that learning happens in the flow of work and that we're deeply integrated with the platforms that you all use. And so, for example, we have a very deep Salesforce integration. We are one of the preferred partners for LinkedIn. We have a deep Slack integration, deep Zoom integration, many other integrations to make sure we're connected with your ecosystem. And then lastly, we're extremely intuitive as well. Everything we build, we want to make sure it's as easy to use as possible for you. A beautiful interface, that your learners will love and your admins will be able to navigate pretty seamlessly as well. And second is we like to say we're purpose built for your current and future learning use cases. When you think about the market today, you have a bunch of single use case LMSs where you can go in and let's just say do customer education really well. But then you also have a bunch of what we like to call one size fits all LMSs. I like to call these monolith LMSs where one LMS does a ton of different things. And really what we do with WorkRamp is we take the best of both worlds, where we could do both employee learning really well. It's purpose built for employee learning, but we also built another platform where you could do customer learning and partner learning. And then we have combined these two on the back end with a seamless back end that can connect to both platforms. And so our goal today in this short time together is to show you the art of what's possible with WorkRamp. If you have questions as we go through this, feel free to drop them in the chat and we'll try to answer them in real time. But our whole goal is to show you where the platform has evolved to, where we're going next, and to show you the art of what's possible. It's going to be a great refresher for people who haven't seen the platform lately or that want to see what is possible with the platform now today. So with that, that's a little bit of the WorkRamp story. We're going to shift gears over into the live demo. So we're going to be doing it live here for you all. And Kathleen, who is our lead solutions architect, is going to be demoing here today for you. And so Kathleen, why don't you take it away?
Fantastic. Thanks, Ted. So I'll go ahead and jump in here. And where we'll begin is with that learner experience in this case. And we're going to really dig into how we can make that experience more responsive, engaging, and results-oriented using a number of tools, especially AI, to make that really effective. So we're looking at the learner home here. And as a learner coming into this space, one of the key things that I'm looking for is easy access to not just information, but also to answers. So what I can do right on this search bar right here at the top, without even jumping into a library or a content catalog, is I can start to ask questions that are relevant to my job about training that might be available here or specific assets or jumping off points that I'm looking for. So if I come in here and I ask, how does, task view in Outreach work? I can hit that query, and then what it's going to do is look for any resources that can be helpful, but also try to summarize what's available as a succinct answer that I can leverage to dive deeper or to take away with me immediately. So not only am I getting, relevant results in terms of search terms, but I'm also getting results in terms of answers that are specific to my queries, even if they're framed as a question, as a statement, and so on. And then from here, I can jump into one of these resources and start to see what kind of value I can get from it. I'm able to navigate this guide, as you're seeing it here, really easily. I can also do things like personalize this experience. So if I'd like to consume this as a different format, I can go ahead and transform this. This allows me to get the reinforcement I'm looking for in a way that's unique to my perspective, to my learning style, and to my preference for trying to learn new things and assimilate new processes. So that will run in the background while I'm working on the course. I'll still have some required elements that I need to complete in this case, and I'm able to run through those really easily here. You can see just like that, that's been made available and it's ready for me to work with. When I click on this here, you can see that it generated something that's just about 2 minutes. Really short, easy to access, and bite-sized. I can even speed that up if I'd like to. So I have these sort of portable ways that I can quickly engage with this content. This particular podcast option here is optional. So it just allows me to provide another way that I can work through what's available. And then beyond that, what I'm also able to do is get relatively quick feedback. As I'm working through this course, I want to be able to understand that what I'm doing is helpful, that I'm understanding things appropriately. And apart from the questions that can easily be graded, like multiple choice or hotspot, I also want to be able to get feedback on any of my open text questions or perhaps even other submissions. So what we can do now is we can leverage AI to provide that feedback upon, guide submission. So that means here, as I submit this item, I've done this question here as well. I can click submit. I'll get immediate feedback on this, and then I'll get feedback on this right at the end of the guide. So you can see here, I have a clear indication that I've completed all of these tasks. I'm looking at this last one here. And then once I've completed that item, then this whole guide will be marked as complete. Once I click on finish, I can go ahead and rate this if I'd like. And then as I come into this view, I can see my feedback. I'm able to see the questions I responded to, the attempts that I made, and also able to see some specific feedback from the AI about what I could do better to meet the best in class option that's been provided here. So this digs into not just specific keywords or phrases, but actually looks at the overall framing of the question. It looks at the depth of the response, and it tries to provide specific feedback about how those things can be improved, looking at the content as well as the format. And then coming back to my learner home over here, I can take this, one step further with challenges and go into deeper skill demonstrations as well. This is where I'm able to see a scenario that's been defined for me and then approach that by providing some sort of submission that I can leverage to be able to get feedback on how I'm performing a skill. We can leverage video submissions directly in the system. We can take advantage of things like links to existing, recordings, and we can also do written submissions as well. So from this view, I'm getting a view of a scorecard, helping me understand the expectations for this particular assessment. I'm also seeing a panel of reviewers here that are going to be evaluating me, including WorkRamp AI. And in some instances, you can also share peer submissions. So if you'd like folks to actually see what best in class looks like as they submit, they can see those options if they're made available. I can even see the scores here and rank these responses or these submissions by score. So as a learner, I have clear expectations about what I'm being asked to deliver here, and I'm able to prepare accordingly. You do have the option to remove this scorecard, though, and include those expectations here, which can then allow you to provide much more detailed or much more granular feedback areas that the AI and other reviewers will be able to dig into. So we'll look at that from the perspective of a reviewer as well. This essentially will show us what will happen behind the scenes as that runs automatically. That AI assist will also be available to reviewers and managers as they're looking at those submissions right here in the system. So I'll click on Suggest Grade right here, which is an option you can make available to your reviewers. And that's going to show us an example of the ways in which we can dig into a unique submission and then provide detailed feedback. We can rate folks on a scale based on the different questions provided and the grading criteria behind the scenes. And then we're also able to respond to open-ended questions with detailed touch points as well as specific areas of improvement. One of the critical things that we can do as well with a challenge is with any prior submission to this challenge, we can use the feedback provided for that as a foundation for future AI reviews. That means that you're able to submit a best-in-class submission, perhaps even a worst-in-class submission, provide feedback on that, and then we'll take advantage of that foundation as a way to shape future reviews so that we're not just looking at the grading criteria you provide, the questions here, as well as the instructor directions. We're also looking at those prior submissions as a way to see exactly what the goal is overall and make sure that we're benchmarking to that in a way. All right. So from here, where I'd like to go is take a look at the admin side of things and show how we can actually deliver this kind of learning experience. We'll move into the shoes of a content author here who is really looking to speed up content creation, to respond to increasing demands from the business, to provide enablement for folks, especially as, let's say, new product features are being released. So right here, I'm in the content pane within the admin console. And on the left, what I'm going to do is just create a new item within this folder, and then ultimately maybe add it to a path later. I have some existing documents that I'd like to take advantage of, and I want to apply those in creating a course. And I'd like to really transform that existing document into a course here. So it's related to a specific technical feature that's been released. And I'm going to grab that file to be able to do that. Once I have that in place, I can then start to work on how I'm going to leverage that file accordingly in terms of the kinds of interactivity or the kinds of summarization I'd like to include. So I'm getting this custom domain sort of help center article in here. And on the advanced settings, that's where I can determine how I'd like to work with this. So I'm going to set it to very detailed. I'm going to set it to, a lot of interactivity. Maybe I'll pull this one back just a half step here, and then we'll go ahead and start running that. So what we're going to start working on here is an outline. And then once that's in place, we're going to start filling that in with the relevant content. Sometimes we'll pull in images, create callouts, flip cards, and then we'll also weave in different kinds of knowledge checks. You can see here as the process is beginning, I'm seeing that outline getting unfolded, and then we'll see that content start to come in shortly. So what I'll do here is I'll let this kind of run behind the scenes. If I click on back, you can see that that's going to continue to run. So it's not something that stops my work or my workflows. That will run as a job behind the scenes. And over here, I have that same item that I've uploaded in its finished form. This is the output that comes directly from the AI process, and that's able to deliver the structure of the course that I'm looking for, pulling in key assets from the documents that I provided, and weaving in those knowledge checks with appropriate answers, and sometimes things like answer hints and explanations. To be able to give me a framework that I can really use to create that finished product and bring in maybe additional tutorials or audio clips or videos as well, just by dragging and dropping these components into my course. Within the course editor and authoring tool, you'll be able to take advantage of additional AI assists to be able to do things like generate images, to be able to work with the text that you have so that we can perform additional actions like further summarization or writing in additional context. So I can write in prompts to be able to expand this further, paste in additional framing or detail I'd like to include, and then have that incorporated thoughtfully. And then finally, I'm able to bring in all kinds of component types like accordions, maybe little dividers, or especially callouts to kind of highlight key items and continue to make that learning experience as engaging as possible. The last thing I'll offer here as well is for the guide creators specifically, we do have some options for changing the models that you can use. You can leverage additional models from Anthropic and Google and others, as well as the default that we use, which will be from OpenAI, to be able to take a different approach to building out these guides, thinking about thoughtful questions and engagements. And there'll be no integration requirements to be able to do that, just a selection option in our AI settings page that you can take advantage of to switch the model, run it again, and see the difference in the output, potentially a different approach to making this come out. Awesome. So moving on with this sort of looking at the employee learner cloud over here, I'd like to take a look at how we can actually see what's happening in the system and get feedback on the engagement, on the success of learners by being able to build some reporting. My goal here as a system admin or an analyst is to be able to report to stakeholders on program success, be able to highlight where there might be areas of a lack of completion, and even dig into perhaps the guides and others learning experiences that we're providing and see where there might be opportunities for content improvement by looking at the questions themselves. So I want to be able to build that customized reporting and share it with relevant stakeholders. So I'm stepping into the reporting tab here, and there may be some tabs here that you folks might be familiar with, like Insights and Report Builder, where I can look at high-level insights about overall usage, or I can quickly build tabular reports here in Report Builder. But Analytics Studio is really the new reporting interface that we're investing in that allows you to build much more customized reports that are much more relevant to your stakeholders, and that allows you to also take advantage of prompting tools to be able to quickly build out those views, create custom formulas, and then shape a dashboard that helps communicate exactly what you need to show in terms of program engagement and completion. So when I step into creating a new item here, when I click on New, you can see that we'll have a number of different topic areas that we can dig into. We'll stick with assignments in this case, but just to highlight some of these other topic areas, guide submissions and SCORM interactions are going to cover some of the questions that are coming out of our courses. This is going to be a great way to dig into the details around, questions that are answered incorrectly most often, as well as looking at, survey questions that are coming in, or just seeing trends at that level of detail. The training catalog item here is also going to be really useful for being able to see when things were last updated and tagging that accordingly. But I'll step right into assignments here, and then we'll be able to see how we can really quickly start to look at the data that's available and visualize it in just a couple of steps. Right here, this assignments topic, I can see certainly fields and such that I can leverage for my visualization or filter, but I can simply punch in a query that I'd like to look into, like showing the guides with the most assignment volume, maybe seeing a breakdown by status, and then kind of indicating that I'd like a color breakdown that would be helpful to visualize that. So I haven't made too many specifications about a specific chart type or a specific filter, or laid out all of the formulas or pivots and other things I want to see. But what the system has been able to do here is cultivate a visualization that's really helping me communicate that very clearly already. I can take advantage of this and, filter it further if I'd like by customizing these or making alterations to the chart type. And I can do that via the different sort of AI assists that are available within various parts of the system, or coming back to my query helper over here. But once I have that in place, I'm able to go ahead and add this to a dashboard. So then I can add this to a new dashboard here, or add it to an existing one that I have, and then be able to work with that accordingly. So with just that prompt, and really one issuance of that, we're able to see this result, but we can work with it further. And then when we bring that into a dashboard, we can also go ahead and share that with our different stakeholders. I'm just pulling up an example of what that can look like with things like drop-down filters at the top, with visualizations that are charting, trends over time, that are looking at month-by-month comparisons, and that are also looking at even summarizing the data that we have through different kinds of text summaries and AI analysis of the data as well. So this AI analysis here is augmenting this item, helping me provide more clarity around what this data is presenting, both in terms of summarizing that data and in terms of providing some recommended next steps here as well. So that was a quick whirlwind tour sort of the newest things on the Employee Learning Cloud side.
So I'm going to give Kefli's voice a quick break here as he gets ready for the second part of the demo here. I want to pull up a chart. I'm not sure how many people have seen this chart, but it will help you navigate what you're seeing in the demo today. When you think about the WorkRamp solution, we call it the WorkRamp Learning Cloud. You have the shared infrastructure and shared AI across the entire platform. And we have two primary products, the Employee Learning Cloud, which is what you just saw with Kefli. These are great use cases. Like when you saw challenges, that's a great use case for sales enablement. When you saw Analytics Studio, we see a lot of employee L&D teams leverage that. I call vibe reporting, where you can just type in what you want to see and it generates for you automatically. And so that's a very powerful solution. It was our original solution back in 2015 that we built. When 2020 rolled around, we had a lot of customers say, hey, we want to also train our customers and our partners. And one of the things we realized was, hey, we can't give the same employee experience to customers. It's a lot like, I like to give this analogy. You need to give a Shopify-like experience compared to Amazon. You want to give a Shopify experience where it's a fully branded experience for your customers and partners. It's white labeled, it's right on point with your brand, it's your representation. And so we didn't want to just try to finagle the Employee Learning Cloud into your extended enterprise use cases. And so in 2020, we built from scratch one of the leading extended enterprise solutions, which we call Customer Learning Cloud. And that's what Kefli is going to show you next. So we just covered employees. Now we're going to shift over to customers and partner education. So with that, Kefli, let me hand it back to you. Hopefully you could catch your breath there too. But I'll hand it back to you for the second part of the demo.
Awesome. Thanks, Ted. So let's go ahead and jump into that customer experience. Our academy is designed for a very branded, very sort of like, customer-facing experience where we're able to create something that's connected to your other customer properties. Think of a product interface, a portal, website, even the help center, so that this space can feel connected to all of those spaces. You're able to take advantage of a lot of easy to manage no-code tools to be able to build out an interface like this, but you can also dig into style sheets and perhaps even JavaScript to be able to really tweak it further and make it, fit in really well with your brand. In this example here, you can see I'm still able to take advantage of courses built within the authoring tool within that platform foundation. So that means that I can actually deploy courses to multiple academies at the same time. I can do so to the employee interface and to the customer interface from a single source. And critically, it means that I can collaborate from that same shared foundation. But you can see here, this preview looks a lot different. I'm still seeing a course outline that's helpful. And these are all items here that we can customize to be able to provide relevant framing around different courses, collections, learning journeys, and certifications to help folks understand the value that they can get from these kinds of experiences before they actually step into them in some way. On this side of the house as well, we can enable really effective self-registration. So as a customer coming in, I want to be able to get to those resources quickly and get to those insights faster. So I need to be able to access it and register relatively quickly. So integrations like single sign-on or what we call instant authentication, which can be a product-based integration, can make it really easy for folks to go from the interface they're working in to the learning space without having to key in a lot of information about who they are and their interests, their role, organization, and all those kinds of attributes. And with those attributes, you can start to streamline the view that they're seeing within the system and show them relevant collections of trainings, show them appropriate certifications or learning journeys that are focused on their perspective and their persona, so that they get what's most relevant to them and they can dive into it quickly. From here, I'll move right over to the admin console. So coming over here, I'm able to, as we were talking about earlier, build out this view really quickly using these tools. adjusting the header and body, being able to flip maybe the header that I'm seeing here just by leveraging these controls. And then I'm also able to determine that page structure that I'd like to work with. So when you saw our example on the other side, and I'll just pivot over here really quickly. I had some pages that were kind of focused on the training types, so the experience type, but I can also frame these to be focused on topic areas. I can frame these to be focused on specific roles, and I can hide and show pages based on that customer information and those attributes. We've also added this key catalog page that can be extremely helpful in making sure folks can kind of dig through what they don't even know and explore what's available in a more comprehensive view by selecting different topic areas and then being able to see what's available. So the other big thing that we've added here that I think is really helpful to highlight will be as folks self-explore, we may also want to have workflows in place for certain training use cases to actually assign things based on how users access the system and what information they present. So instead of just relying on opting into things, we can also leverage workflows to be able to determine how we want to sequence learning that's being delivered to learners or follow-ups that are coming out to them. So what will be most important first is establishing different customer segments. These will be groups that can be based on those attributes that we can then more easily point to determine how we want to establish relevant workflows. And then from there, we can come over to our workflows page and then set up those sequences. Those sequences can be kicked off by a number of different actions, just by a user entering the academy, or perhaps them entering a segment, or moving between segments. Each of these can allow us to get this process going. And then let's say when I select a segment here, I can see that list. Then I'm able to add additional filters if I'd like, so qualify this starting premise further, and then go ahead and start a series of actions to respond to this learner, provide them with some key trainings that we want to put in front of them so that we can automatically assign, do follow-ups as well, set time delays, and then perhaps move them once completed into an appropriate segment that they can use to see more relevant content based on that completion that happens. And the last thing I'll highlight here is that for the customer academy, for this interface, Analytics Studio will also be available as well. We're going to have some topics that are specific to this area, things like enrollments instead of assignments, but we'll still get to see question level data. We'll still get to see things like event attendance, and we'll be able to look at our contact information and all of the training that's happening within the system. So that's really the coverage that I wanted to dig into on the Academy side today, just to kind of show the distinct ways that we can provide this training experience for that external audience while taking advantage of that shared platform to be able to author content and collaborate effectively.
All right. Well, Kafui, thanks so much. I don't think I told you this. I asked my daughter the other day, my middle daughter, I said, "Hey, what's your favorite color?" And she said galaxy. And I had no idea galaxy was a color. I don't even know if it technically qualifies as a color, but it reminded me of your beautiful demo instance, tying that back to how well you can customize your customer learning cloud. You can make that look exactly how you want, custom CSS, connect that back to your Salesforce to flow data back to your your customer tables. And so a lot of customization you can do on the customer learning cloud side. And I just thought that was so funny. It reminded me of your demo just now. So beautiful instance you demo from one of our great customers at Canva. So Galaxy, everyone's new favorite color these days. If you're AI company, you have to use use Galaxy in some fashion. All right, let me just pull this slide up. We're right at the end here, and I'm going to close on this slide and one more slide here. But again, we covered a lot of ground today. Hopefully, we showed you the latest and greatest, just scratching the surface on some of the core functionality for your employees, core functionality for customers and partners. Again, you can do this all on one platform, which we call the Learning Cloud. For those of you who want to learn more, we are happy to give you a deep dive, a private deep dive. If you like to learn more, you can just ping us directly on LinkedIn. If you like, there's also a general email alias here as well too. We'll put that here in the chat if you all need it as well too. We're happy to basically meet with you and share a little bit more about WorkRamp. But want to say thank you, everyone, for jumping on today. That was a very informative session. Kafui, thank you for doing the demo for everyone. But we want to thank you for coming on, and best of luck the rest of your week. You're halfway there to the end of the week, and we hope to see you all again soon. See you later.